Why, hello there, YouTube, and welcome back to A History of Who. So we're on the 12th episode now. Can you believe that? Yeah, the Attack Eyebrows. So, yeah, Doctor Who, we're on the 12th Doctor era now. So, we all know that in 2013 it was a big year for the show. 50th anniversary. We got 3 on-screen regenerations, which I don't think has ever happened in Doctor Who before. And also that year, Matt Smith announced that he was leaving the show, and it was up in the air on who could be next. And at one point, they did consider a woman, but we will get to that. I mean, they'd considered women in the past, but they weren't ready to go there just yet. No, but during a live broadcast in the summer of 2013, it was revealed that, the actor who would play the 12th Doctor was revealed. And that was Scottish actor Peter Capaldi, who was a long-time fan of the show and also no stranger to it, as well as he'd appeared in the episode The Fires of Pompeii and even appeared as his character's descendant in the spin-off series Torchwood, the third series, Children of Earth. So yeah, he was no stranger to the Whoniverse, and he would return again, this time playing the lead role of the 12th Doctor. And so I was all hyped. And a little fun coincidental fact here: that year he got the role as the Doctor, he featured in the Brad Pitt-led action horror World War Z, where his character was credited as Dr. WHO, because he was a doctor working for the World Health Organization. I was like, that must have been destiny. At least a coincidence. So anyway, yeah, Peter Capaldi landed the role of the 12th Doctor after doing a private audition at Stephen Moffat's house, where he acted like the Doctor, and Stephen Moffat was like, yeah, that's him. So on the 23rd of August 2014, about 9 months after the 50th anniversary specials came to an end and the Christmas special aired, Doctor Who returned for its 8th series, or its 34th season, and it starred Peter Capaldi as the 12th Doctor, where he has an adventure with the Paternoster Gang, who again were recurring characters throughout Stephen Moffat's era. Madame Vastra, a Silurian, Jenny, a human partner, and Strax the Centauran, and of course Clara. Now, this was the third time in the modern era a regeneration that happened, and for Clara, she was not fully, well, she became aware of this, but she hadn't quite adjusted to him. And in that first episode, the 12th Doctor was talking in riddles, mentioned he had attack eyebrows and a Scottish accent. Now, Peter Capaldi at that time was the third Scottish actor to play the Doctor, because we had Sylvester McCoy play the Doctor. We had David Tennant play the Doctor, all disguised their voices. And of course, Shutty Gap would go on to play the Doctor, but that'll be another episode for another time. And Peter Capaldi was the first Scottish actor to actually not disguise his voice, but to speak in his natural Scottish accent, which I actually didn't mind. I thought, okay, yeah, he's talking in a Scottish accent. Sure, I guess if there was a Welsh actor playing the Doctor and he spoke Welsh, fine. Or like Christopher Eccleston, he went to say he spoke in a Northern accent because he wanted it to appeal to kids, thinking, oh, maybe one day I could be Doctor Who. Stuff like that. So yeah, I was fine with that. And the older look, the 25-year age on him from Matt Smith being around 31 when leaving, I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that he was slightly older this time, and I felt like it added a lot of wisdom to him and a lot of toughness, and also he had a bit of youthfulness in him. Either way, I instantly fell in love with the choice of Peter Capaldi, and he, to this day, as of making this video, is still my favourite Doctor. And, he would go on to recognise that face, wondering, has he seen it before? And we do find out later on in his second series, in an episode called The Girl Who Died, he chose that face. It wasn't a random change. He chose that look to remind himself that everyone, to save everyone, to stand tall, to stand and fight and save people. And that's what I loved about Capaldi's Doctor. He was intense, he was serious, but I think always knew when to have fun. So throughout his first series, with Clara and our Justine, it wasn't long before he faced the Daleks when he went into a Dalek, shrinking down to find out what was up with it. Oh, and that Dalek was self-aware and had emotions and hated and wanted to destroy the Daleks. And old Rusty would return later on, in fact, at the very end of his era. And of course, throughout the series, the first series, the Doctor came across, Robin Hood was a robot, braining aliens and stuff. Went to the moon and it was revealed to be an egg. Went on the Orient Express with a mummy. But throughout the 8th series, there was a person that kept popping up and reoccurring. Missy. Who was Missy? Well, it was revealed in the penultimate episode of that series where the Cybermen made a return and had they had a redesign in Matt Smith's era, but the Cybermen came back and Missy was revealed to be a Time Lord or Time Lady. Now, for a brief second, I thought, is she the Rani? But then, of course, she does reveal that her name Missy is short for Mistress because she couldn't keep calling herself the Master. So, yeah, after having the Master absent throughout Matt Smith's era, the Master returned, this time as a woman, called Missy, played by Michelle Gomez, and she would be a reoccurring presence throughout Capaldi's era as well. And, yeah, so she was the Master. And then again, there was another Cyberman invasion where Cybermen could now upgrade the dead from rain nanogenes and that. Even one of them was the Brigadier, and the Doctor saluted him. And, that's all the Brigadier wanted to see, just the Doctor to salute him once, and he did, because the Brigadier was a Cyberman. Throughout Matt Smith's era, we also had the reoccurrence of the character Kate Stewart, who was the daughter of the Brigadier, Kate Lethbridge Stewart, and she would still go on to reoccur to this day. So yeah, Peter Capaldi had a good first season, had a Christmas special where he met Santa, played by Nick Frost, and Nick Frost was the perfect guest for, a Christmas special, because his name's Nick, and his last name's Frost. But that all turned out to be a dream thing with dream crabs and stuff, so it wasn't actually Santa. But then we had his second series where he started it with the return of Davros, who came back for the second time in this revival era, played by Julian Bleach again. And we had the Daleks, we had Missy appear in a 2-part opener. In the 9th series, we had 2-part episodes. Yeah, like 1 week it'd start a new episode, then it'd continue into the next week. So yeah, they kind of did the whole sort of serialized thing like they did back in the old days, but had them on for like just 2 episodes at a time, which I thought, okay, but they had a few standalone episodes. There was Sleep No More, which was an interesting episode done in like a format of found footage in the future. And then we had Face the Raven, where the Doctor lost Clara, where she faced a raven and died after, mistakenly misunderstanding and caught saving a friend, another reoccurring face's life named Rigsy. So yeah, and then in the 2-part finale, yeah, now this series I sort of fell out with a bit. I just didn't feel as committed. I didn't actually mind missing it and watching it on repeat. I just didn't think it was the best series, but Capaldi did make it worthwhile. And those last 2 episodes, that one episode, Heaven Sent, where it's just Peter Capaldi doing a one-man show, that was probably one of his best moments and his best episodes ever, and I loved it. I loved the score, I loved his enthusiasm, I loved how he went full attack mode with his attack eyebrows. And then in the finale, Hellbent, we see him back home on Gallifrey, where he finds his home world. He took the long way round, but he found Gallifrey after we found on the 50th anniversary specials. He took the long way. He took Gallifrey out of the Time War in a pocket universe. He eventually found his home world. And we see the return of Rassilon in a new form. We see the Time Lord General and him regenerate into a woman. So that's another thing with Capaldi's era. It finally went all the way with having male-led Time Lord characters regenerate into women, such as the Master. And I feel that this was probably a foreshadowing of what would come. So anyway, after that, we had another Christmas special where he tied up the River Song storyline, where we see the Doctor have a final meeting with her. And then we get a gap here, because in 2016, Stephen Moffat announced he was done doing the show, so he was leaving as showrunner. So we needed a new showrunner, and of course we did. But Stephen Moffat thought, okay, fine, I'll do series 10 because he did. And what we got in that year was an introduction to a new companion, Bill Potts, played by Pearl Mackie. Also, Matt Lucas's, I'm about to say Matt Smith then, Matt Lucas, former Little Britain star, guest starred in the 2015 Christmas special, and he became a character favourite, so he went on to return in series 10 as a regular companion. And we did get a Christmas special, at least in 2016, so we got that, which didn't feel Christmassy, but it was still set around Christmas time with superheroes and madness and all stuff like that. Then in 2017, in the spring of that year, because all of Capaldi's seasons at this point had been airing later in the year, like in the autumn time, but we got it back on in the springtime where Peter Capaldi came back for his at the time was around that time he actually announced he was leaving the show because so it was up in the air who was going to be the Doctor then. So anyway, Peter Capaldi, Matt Lucas returned with Pearl Mackie, a one-series companion, playing Bill Potts. And Bill Potts, I like that she was just plain Bill. She had no special name, because I feel in the revived era, all the companions had like their own nicknames. Like Rose was the bad wolf, Martha was the woman who travelled the world, the earth, and Donna was like the most important woman in the world, and Amy was the girl who waited, and Clara was the impossible girl. Bill, she had none of that. Also, she was probably one of the first regular companions to be openly gay. Yeah, which I thought was great. I liked her. And I really wish she could have stuck around a lot more. Maybe if they'd gone on into the next showrunner's era. But unfortunately, that was not so. But I did like the time. The Doctor, Nardole, and Bill were just a great TARDIS team. And I think Series 10 is the best of the modern eras. In my opinion, Series 10 is my favourite, and I think still the best one. And it's Capaldi's best series. And I just thought he was brilliant as ever as the Doctor. We even see Missy go on a redemption arc where the Doctor has her imprisoned in a vault and chooses not to have her killed or anything like that, but she does turn over a new leaf before encountering her past self, the Master, because John Sim returned as that Master, and we find out what triggered his regeneration into Missy. I'm assuming it's Missy, but yeah, like I say, it's a bit, because it was off screen, we're not really sure. But yeah, Missy had a redemption arc, and at the end she was killed by her past self. Or did she? Well, I like to think not, because obviously she regenerated and became the Master again. But yes, in the finale of Capaldi's final season, he was, he faced the Mondasian Cybermen, the classic original design of the Cybermen, but modernized up, and he was on a Mondasian ship that was on a black hole where time moves differently on each end. And yeah, it was an action-packed finale with the Cybermen. Another finale with the Cybermen. Moffat seemed to have that a lot with that, like his first series had the Cybermen in the finale. His second season didn't have the Cybermen, but it had the Time Lords and a Cyberman. Well, these Capaldi eras and had Cybermen finales, and we see the Cybermen once again. Also, Bill becoming converted into a Cyberman, but managing to keep her mind in control. And in the end, she had perished, but got to have her consciousness live on through a character called Heather, who was a young woman who Bill really instantly fell for in the opening episode, the pilots, where there was this alien oil puddle that made her a pilot and she could fly anywhere across the universe, and Bill went off to go with her and be with her. So yeah, Capaldi's Doctor's time was up after facing the Cybermen and getting lasered by one. Then he started to regenerate, but refused to. He refused to regenerate because he didn't want to keep changing. Also, Capaldi's Doctor was the first of a new regeneration cycle as well. Also, he donned a lot of things like a guitar, even sonic sunglasses, which no one really liked. I'm glad that he got a sonic screwdriver again, and we see that. So then at the end of his final season, it ends where he is refusing to regenerate, but then has a run-in with his old self, the First Doctor, played by David Bradley. So then, Christmas of 2017, we got Capaldi's final outing as the Doctor, Twice Upon a Time, where he collabed with David Bradley playing the First Doctor, because of course William Hartnell's long gone now. But they did use archived footage on the 10th Planet, because this kind of felt like a bit of a sequel to the 10th Planet, because it was around that time as well the First Doctor was refusing to regenerate, and we find out that a long time ago the Doctor was, again, he didn't want to regenerate. So we have one final adventure with them two Doctors, and we even get Bill return, and we get a character called the Captain, played by Mark Gatiss. So again, Mark Gatiss is no stranger to the show. He's written for the show before, and he's even guest starred in the show as well before, and he came back again playing Captain Archibald Hamish Lethbridge Stewart, who was the grandfather of the Brigadier, as it seemed to be revealed. And we had a crazy adventure with glass robots, which were like people's memories, and Bill was one of those. That was her avatar. We see the Doctors return the Captain to his time stream, and it was actually Christmas Day 1914 during the First World War, and the Doctor got to see the Christmas truce. It was a nice episode. We had old Rusty return for a brief scene and him have his whole arc wrapped up. And we even got, the 12th Doctor have his memory of Clara restored after he lost her. We had a heartwarming moment where the Doctor bid farewell to Bill and Nardole. Matt Lucas returned for a cameo as Nardole. It was a nice episode, and I really, really liked that special. And I think it was a great way for Capaldi to go out. And of course, the First Doctor, he accepted his fate and went back to his time stream and regenerated, taking the long way around to find out what choice the 12th Doctor would make. Of course, for us, we got to find out straight away. And Capaldi gave us one final performance, a good speech preparing his next incarnation for what was to come. And then that's when he gave in to his regenerations. It was also revealed as well that after Stephen Moffat steps down as showrunner, Broadchurch writer Chris Chibnall will step in as the new showrunner, who has also wrote for Doctor Who in the past. Not the best episodes, but he would take over as showrunner. And yeah, and in the late summer of that year of 2017, it was revealed who would take over for Peter Capaldi. It was rumoured that could it be Chris Marshall, who is stepping down from the hit crime drama show Death in Paradise? But of course it wasn't. It was a former Broadchurch star, Jodie Whittaker, who would take over as the 13th Doctor. So, Capaldi was, his Doctor gave into his regeneration and became the next Doctor, who was, Jodie Whittaker. And this is where we would then go on to say that she is the Doctor.